Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on the Disney film The Kid. Now, as you know, Disney's The Kid is meant to be a 2000 fantasy comedy drama film that was directed by John Turturro, as well as kind of featuring Bruce Willis as the main character, Russ. Now, Russ's character is that he's this kind of successful but arrogant and immature image consultant who kind of acts like a jerk around people and doesn't really see through his own mistakes. Now, I wouldn't really call Russ a complete jerk. I think he's just easily annoyed, temperamented, and a bit more against the world. And you can kind of tell that there are signs that Russ has more truth about him than there is. As you can kind of tell, his father does want to kind of reconnect with him after something that happened back in the past. We also kind of see how he treats people around him as if they're to blame. And you can kind of tell Amy expects Russ to give back and stop acting like this kind of selfish, immature monster. Of course, we kind of see how Russ eventually finds a toy plane near his doorstep, and we kind of see how he eventually finds out that there is a kid who kind of comes into his life. And of course, there is more truths about this young kid than there is. And I think the film has an important message, saying, what if your younger self came into the future, and what if he was able to help you remember something that happened in your life that made you the way you are? And I think at the same time, it kind of hammers the topic well. And this kind of reminds me of an episode from Infinity Train, as we kind of see how Russ kind of doesn't want anything to do with his younger self, but you can kind of tell over time they do start to bond, and kind of getting Russ to realize to his shock and even to his dismay that he must be able to give back and kind of make things right with the people he pushed away. And I kind of feel as well, when you've got the plane flying around at the start, it's kind of giving you this glimpse that the plane plays more of a key part in the kind of film. It's meant to help Russ find and reconnect to his younger self. And I think this really does handle well. But I think at the same time, I think the film makes the same mistake that most Disney films do. They kind of put the whole father's bad, mother's good image a little too well near the end. I feel the point with some films, you always want to sort of show that there's always going to be a deadbeat mum and the father who means well. But really, it's Disney, so they don't really put it in completely. And I think one thing I think they do well at is we kind of see how the older Russ goes through his childhood and sort of knows what's going to happen and faces the reality that because of one event, he pushed everyone away from him. And this kind of reminds me a bit of Infinity Train, where Tulip put rose-coloured glasses on some of her flashbacks, remembering how her parents were happy and just didn't want to face her parents' divorce. And of course, you can kind of tell once she takes the rose-coloured glasses off, she starts facing the sort of reality to her problems, the kind of consequences of facing the reality that their parents' divorce was going to happen. And it's kind of similar with Russ in a way, which he has to accept the past for what it is and being able to give back. And I think they really handle the topic a bit well. And I would also say as well, for a sort of comedy drama film, I think Bruce Willis does kind of nail the role perfectly, and he kind of plays this well sort of adjusted, well-off, but jerky guy. And keep in mind, we would basically see Bruce Willis the way he is now, years later. So hopefully we may see Bruce Willis able to give back one day. So I think as a film, Disney's The Kid is not a bad movie. It's a simple slice-of-life story saying being able to give back and facing the reality of your past. So I think it deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.